Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi, my name is Anna, and I decided, I don't want to say the last minute, but I just decided to film, a reading vlog, reading Stephen King, because one of the books that I have to read in my October TBR, it's The Outsider by Stephen King. I have the Portuguese version, which is O Intruso, and the reason why I say it's kind of last minute, it's because I read, close to 200 pages already, and I just decided, I really want to film a reading vlog reading Stephen King. And the reason for this, it's because I always wanted to try Stephen King, and I tried Stephen King, I think it was last year, where I read Pet Sematary, and I was left a little bit disappointed. And hear me out. Pet Sematary is not a bad book by any means. I understand why a lot of people do love it, but I went with the wrong expectations because I always thought, Stephen King, he's a king of horror. That's what he's known for. So I picked up Pet Sematary because a lot of people said it was disturbing and it was creepy, it was scary. And so I thought, okay, this is exactly what I want. I want a scary book. I want to be scared. I want to have chills, up and down my spine. I want to be disturbed. But that's not really what happened because in my opinion, Pet Sematary, it's not that scary. It's just not scary, but it is deeply disturbing and it is creepy and weird because of, the whole cemetery thing and how people go there and because they want their loved ones back, or they want just even their pet animals. That's why it's called Pet Sematary, because a lot of the people would bury their pets there without knowing that that place where they bury their pets is a little bit strange. And the animals do come back in very, weird ways. They're just creepy, right? So I understand the creepiness and I understand how disturbing it was, and the talk about grief, it was so well done. I think Stephen King really, his writing really shined in Pet Sematary when he was talking about grief, and just the way that he talked about it was very sensitive, and I really, really enjoyed it. But because I wanted to be scared and I wanted to be horrified, I was disappointed. I ended up giving it a 3.5 stars because I didn't want this. I didn't want to read this type of book. I really wanted to be scared. And I was, like I said, a little bit disappointed with Stephen King, so I wanted to try him again. And I actually wanted to read The Salem's Lot, but my public library didn't have it available. So I chose The Outsider because honestly, I really loved the synopsis. And I just think I just wanted, something thrilling and a little bit weird and creepy as well. And before I talk about this book, just look at this bookmark, okay? I also bought this bookmark at the anime convention. Look at it. It's a long cat. People, I was sold. Like, this cost me 1.5 years, and it was the best money I spent because I love this, okay? I love this bookmark. And look how he says, he says on top of my book, it looks like he is just, peeking out, and I love it, okay? I just find it so cute. But let's talk about The Outsider by Stephen King. First and foremost, I've read 200 pages and I'm loving it, okay? I am so loving this. I am addicted to this book. Whenever I start reading, I just cannot stop. I just love the way that Stephen King wrote this because I've read the first part of this book and I was immediately hooked because the way that he wrote this, he does have, some different points of views. So, for example, he has the point of view of the person that is investigating this case, which is Ralph Anderson, and you start by seeing the interviews that he did to all of the people that lived in this small town, in this small village. I think it is a village or a small town, I don't know. But, it's one of those towns where everybody just knows each other. They all hang out with each other, all that type of thing. So you do see him interviewing all of these people, and that's how you know what crime was committed and how it was committed, because each person saw the perpetrator do something different in a different phase of his plan. And I just loved that point of view and the way he wrote that. And of course, we do see the perpetrator's point of view, which in this case is Terry. He is, I think, an English teacher, and he also trains the baseball team here in this small town. And everybody loved him. Everybody loved him. He has a wife, 2 young daughters, and everyone just thought he was normal. But now he's accused of a very graphic homicide. I'm not going to describe the crime scene because it is really, really graphic. So please watch trigger warnings. It is horrendous. And people are just shocked, of course. In the small town, everybody knows each other, and people are like, Terry? Like, are you sure, Terry? But yeah, a lot of the witnesses in that town, they saw Terry covered in blood. He said it was from his nose because they heard his nose. They saw Terry taking this small child with him because I think the child broke his bicycle. I think he broke his bicycle. So Terry was like, oh my God, I can help you put the bicycle in my truck and let's go. So they saw, all of these type of things, and they are sure it was Terry. But there is a small issue, or a very big issue in this case, which is Terry wasn't there when the crime was committed. He was not there. He was in a completely different city at a conference. I think it was, oh no, it wasn't a conference. He was about to see, one of his favorite writers. So he went there. He wanted his book signed and autographed. And there's actual evidence that he was in that place. You know, there's a lot of camera footage from the conference, and you have pictures of him there, you have recordings of him there. He even, you know, when the author is presenting his new book and talking about his new book, Terry actually asks a question and he's caught on camera, and he goes with 2 or 3 of his other English teachers that are his friends. His friends also say he was there. There's even fingerprints of a book that he went, I think he went to visit a library in that city, and there's actually fingerprints of a book that he touched that he wanted to buy, but it was too expensive, so he did not buy, which relatable. So you do have a lot of evidence really showing that he was in another town. So now Ralph Anderson, he's just like, how is this possible? Like, how is this possible? Because we have eyewitnesses that saw him in that same day in our town, in Flint City. We have so many fingerprints of him in the murder weapon, in the child, you know, just on the child, on the van that he used to take the child away to the forest. We have his DNA. We have everything. But there's also evidence, clear evidence, of him being in another town.
That's suspicious. That's weird.
So the whole thing is just really creepy, because how can someone be in 2 places at the same time? Is it a doppelganger? Nobody really knows. So that's what Ralph Anderson is trying to figure out. And in this first part, we don't really have, you know, an investigation already, because they are, you know, very sure it was Terry. Like, it has to be Terry. We have DNA, we have fingerprints. So they're just trying to conceive, like, how is this even possible? They haven't even started investigating it yet, because they thought, you know, this is in the bag. This is very easy. And the way that they arrested Terry was horrible, because they arrested him at one of the baseball games in front of 1,500 people. So of course his family is going through a lot. You know, his wife, his daughters are going through a lot. They cannot even get out of the house because the TV, the cameras are always there, always pointing, always waiting for, you know, an opportunity to catch him in false. And something just happened. Okay, something just happened. I'm not going to say what it is because it is a spoiler, but I'm shocked because now I don't know how Ralph Anderson is going to proceed, because let's just say that Terry is no longer available. Like, literally, he's no longer available. So I don't know how he's going to proceed, but I am loving this book. Like I said, I just love the way that it's written, and it is very slow because, you know, the investigation hasn't even started. But I do have, you know, some theories already. I do think it's going to be some sort of like weird creature that can morph into people. I think what's going to happen is the creature is going to commit another crime, and I think it's going to be as Terry. And that's when, you know, the police is going to be like, okay, it really couldn't have been Terry, because usually this type of crime, the way it was so horrendous, it is usually, you know, by a serial killer, so they are expecting another murder to happen. But I do think it's going to be this other Terry, and they're going to be like, okay, it wasn't Terry. Like, it was not Terry. We need to find who is doing this right now. But like I said, I am loving this. I am so obsessed with this. I am obsessed with everything. And also, I just love the way that Stephen King is making, you know, a commentary about the media and how the media, they're just sharks. You know, they just smell a drop of blood and they immediately jump into action, and they don't care about anyone's feelings. They don't care about Terry's wife if she's crying, sobbing, and they just don't care. They throw themselves in front of her and trying to get all of these, you know, answers and trying to get her to talk, to speak. They don't even care that his 2 young daughters, you know, they are just teenagers, they are minors. They don't care. Like, they don't care. They will literally put a camera in their face trying to get all of these answers from them. How does it feel to know your dad committed this crime? How does it feel for your dad to be in prison? And it's just horrendous. It's truly horrendous how they are vultures. These people are vultures. The TV are vultures. And not only that, because they are spreading so many lies and rumors, Terry is in grave danger. Terry's life is in grave danger. Even the police, they don't really know what to do. They blew this out of proportion. They did everything wrong, because now everyone in Flint City, of course, you know, which is normal, they don't want anything to do with Terry. They think Terry is a horrible person. They are protesting. They are saying that he should be in jail, that he should die, that he should just be executed, that there should be no mercy for him. But the police don't even know if he was the one that committed the crime. And yet people are accusing him because of the media. And I just really, really love that commentary, because it does show, you know, that we all know this. We all know that the media are sharks. The journalists are vultures. They will do anything. They don't care about anything and anyone. They don't have any compassion or empathy for these people and for these people's lives, and how everyone's lives was destroyed. But yeah, I am just really, really enjoying this read so far, because I think it's because I went with the right expectations this time. You know, I'm expecting an investigation. I'm expecting a thriller. I'm not expecting to be scared or to be, you know, horrified. I am a little bit disturbed, of course, because this murder, like I said, was truly graphic and just horrendous. It was just horrendous. And so it does make everything a little bit creepier. And I know that this is a creature, okay? I know this is not a human being. This is some sort of weird creature that Stephen King has conjured. So I'm very, very excited. And that's why I decided to film a reading vlog, because Stephen King has to be, you know, he has to be redeemed. And I feel like this book is going to redeem him for me. And I'm just gonna, you know, do my thesis a little bit now, because that's what I've mainly been focusing on. And I will give you guys another update soon. So as you know, I've been reading The Outsider by Stephen King, and I'm just telling you right now, I am loving this, okay? I read it this much. I was supposed to, update you on the 50% mark, but as usual, I didn't. I am 60% through because I've just been loving this, okay? It's just the right amount of thriller. I always want to keep reading. I always want to keep knowing what's going on, and now we have gotten to the very juicy parts because it's creepy, okay? It is creepy, and I've actually gotten a few chills up my spine, especially this morning when I was reading because, it was still dark. I woke up early and it was still a little bit dark outside, and just reading about this scene of this weird creature behind the shower curtain, that cliche that someone or the killer is hiding behind the shower curtain. Yeah, it was actually real, and it was the creepiest thing because the way that Stephen King just described it, oh my god, it just sent, so many chills down my spine. But I have been loving this, as you can tell. It's just so much fun, and we've gotten to the point where, our detective, Ralph Anderson, he no longer believes that Terry committed the murder. He is still inclined to believe because of all of, the fingerprints, the DNA, that is very hardcore evidence, but he also believes that Terry was, somewhere else, miles and miles away. So he doesn't really know what to think of this case, and he keeps digging and digging and digging, trying to find out. And he has found out, a lot of things, because now they found some sort of like barn. And in that barn, you had all of the clothing that Terry allegedly was wearing when he murdered that young boy. And not only do you find, lots of fingerprints there of Terry DNA, you find also some weird black gooey thing all around, the barn. And it's just creepy, okay? It's just very, very creepy because now this creature is not only, weird and black, and now it's oily too. It's really, really disgusting. So that's very strange. They don't really know what to think of it. They've obviously sent the sample to be investigated and analyzed, but they still haven't gotten any results. But not only that, because now we have this creature that is lurking around this town, this small town, and is terrorizing the citizens. So, for example, one of the daughters of Terry, the youngest one, Grace, she has been seeing this intruder, this outsider that has straws for eyes. Okay, he used to have straw for eyes, and he just, would show up in her room just staring at her, looking at her. And now he's gotten better, and better in the sense of now he no longer has straw for eyes. Now he really looks like a person. And creepy, something so creepy is that he chose to wear her father's eyes, and she was looking at him like, you look like my father, but I know those eyes. Those eyes, they are similar to my father's, but they are not my father. Like, there's something off about you. So it's just very, very creepy. Okay, everything is just very creepy. He also visited the father of the young boy that was murdered, because his entire family, it was just very, very tragic, because his wife died of a heart attack. His oldest son was killed as well by the police because he did something that he shouldn't have done. And now, the father, he's like, I've lost my younger son to a crazy murderer and a rapist at that. I've also lost my oldest son, and I've lost my wife. Now I have nothing to live for. I literally have nothing to live for. So he decides to hang himself. But before he hangs himself, he sees this particular creature. He actually does survive, because one old lady, it's one of those old ladies that are so nosy, and they always want to know what the hell is happening around town and around the neighborhood. And good for this man, because she actually saves his life. Now, he has a lot of brain damage, of course, because he was without oxygen for a very, very long time, and he hasn't woken up. But I'm pretty sure he's going to wake up, and he's going to say, I saw this particular weird creature. And I think the detective is going to be like, okay, you saw this. Grace, the youngest daughter of Terry, also has been seeing this weird man, so it must mean something. But not only have they found, new clues at this said barn, Ralph Anderson also decides to, find someone in Dayton, or someone near Dayton that can investigate what Terry was doing there and what happened there. And so we have Holly. I think Holly, I haven't read any books by Stephen King, but I do know Holly is a recurring character in a lot of books. I don't know if it's the same Holly. I don't know if it is. You guys tell me in the comments, because I really have no idea of knowing. But if it is, then Holly, she's the one that's going to investigate things at Dayton, and she has found out, a very interesting things. For example, in Dayton, there was also a murder. 2 young girls, the same age as the young boy, that died in Flint City. They were also murdered in the same way, but by a different man. And also, in that case, that man, they had DNA, they had fingerprints of him on the girls, on the murder scene, everywhere, but he was also somewhere else. He couldn't have committed the crime because he was somewhere else out of town, and he has witnesses to prove that. So the same thing that happened to Terry. So now Holly is like, wait a minute, this is not a coincidence. It cannot be a coincidence. Something is happening here. So now she's investigating a little bit more. And because Holly has dealt with supernatural things and, with paranormal things, she believes that this can be a paranormal case. And I'm pretty sure that's what she's going to tell Anderson, that you need to start believing in creatures, because we might well be with some sort of weird creature that can imitate other people. Especially because Holly discovered that the person that murdered the young girls had contact with Terry. They bumped into each other, and he cut Terry in the hand with his nails, I think. And so now Holly is like, that's it. Like, that has to be the answer. That has to have something to do with this, because when Terry comes back, the murder happens. So it cannot be a coincidence. And now I just really want to see where the story is going, because how are they going to find out? Like, are they going to see this creature? Because Ralph's wife, I think her name is Ginny? I'm going to call her Ginny. I think it's Ginny. Ginny, she has actually seen the man, because she woke up one night, she wanted to pee, and she noticed that one of the lights on the first floor was on, and she found it strange, because she was like, when I went to pee, it wasn't on. So she goes to check, and she sees this weird looking man. He's very weird. He's full of blisters, like he has been burned, and he does tell her, tell your husband, okay, that he should stop. Stop investigating, stop trying to look for what happened, otherwise I will kill all of you and leave you to be eaten by vultures. And the reason why a lot of people don't really believe in this, it's because they always feel like it was some sort of dream. They never know if it was real or not. But Jenny, she's like, you know what, a nightmare or not, I'm pretty sure there was a man in this house. I am not going to take any chances, and she begs her husband to stop investigating. Of course, he's not going to, but I've just been loving this book. Like I said, there's just always something happening, and it is kind of weird because I don't really know how to feel about the pacing, because this pacing is, sometimes the book does feel a little bit too long, and I'm like, does it really need to be 500 pages? But it never is boring, because we always have new things happening, new things to discover. Like I said, there was plenty of things that happened that have been discovered, so it's not boring, but I don't know, I think the book could have been a little bit shorter, because some parts do feel like they drag out a little bit. Also, the way Stephen King writes his characters, amazing. They just all feel so real. They're all so complex, and they just feel like people, because the way that he writes the dialogue is so fluid and just so natural. I've never seen someone write dialogue so freaking good, because Like I said, they seem like people. And, you know, the old lady, the nosy old lady, she talks like a nosy old lady. It's like he really knows how people talk and how they ramble and how they rant and how they say things that have nothing to do with the case, but that's what people do. That's what people do in real life. People ramble, they say what they've been doing all day and just all that kind of stuff. And he just lets the characters have those monologues and have their thoughts be present at the page. That makes them feel even more human. So I am absolutely gobsmacked by the way that Stephen King is writing these characters, because like I said, they just feel so freaking real. And I'm just very excited to keep on reading, because I just cannot wait to see what's going to happen. Like, what is this creature? You know, where did it come from? How does it work? You know, how are they going to defeat this creature? Because it's just, you know, supernatural. Like, how do you defeat something supernatural? I don't know. Like, I'm just having the time of my life reading Stephen King, and I'm enjoying this book so freaking much. I am so glad I picked this one up from the library, because obviously you had many to choose from, and I'm so glad I chose this one, because I don't know, it was just calling to me, and I was like, you know what, this weird mystery thing, yes, please. I've been loving the clues, the investigation, just everything about this book, and I'm so addicted. I'm definitely going to finish this book this week, but this is all I have for you guys today in terms of an update. I'm still going to work on my master's thesis, because it's just been very, very hard work, okay? It's just a lot of things to do. This is, you know, the last stretch, the home run, if you will, of my master thesis. I have to really work on it every single day for multiple hours now, because I have to submit this by the 31st of October. So this needs to happen, okay? We are going to lock in. We are going to work. Although I really don't feel like it, because I'm so tired. Like, I'm so tired. And it's, you know, it's my period, okay? This week is going to be my period. I'm just tired. Everything is just... like a huge task. Like, I need so much energy just to do one thing, but alas, we gotta lock in, we gotta do the work, and I will give you guys another update soon during this week. I just came home from the public library because I went there just to, work a little bit, change the scenery where I've been working on my thesis, just get out of my bedroom, go and touch some grass. But I do have to say, excuse, the rough appearance. I know I'm breaking out so much. Everything hurts. My head hurts. It was so cold outside. My hands are freezing because I still thought, oh yeah, it's gloomy. It's been raining, but it hasn't been that cold. And I thought, you know what? I think I can get away with it. I did not. Yeah, I just went out with a short sleeve. Don't do it. Just do not do it. It is cold and my hands are freezing. My head hurts and I'm on my period, which means that everything is just rough, okay? Everything is rough. Everything is annoying me, but at least this book has been keeping me company. I am loving this, okay? I'm loving this so much and I am 75% through, so I haven't read that much since I updated you, but I really wanted to give you guys an update right now because some things are happening. And now Holly has finally met with Ralph Anderson, the main detective of this case, and she has told him everything that she found in Dayton. And she actually believes in the supernatural because she herself has been through some of those experiences. So she understands that most people are not going to believe her. And of course, Ralph Anderson and all the other investigators, even the lawyer, even the private detective, don't believe. The only people that do believe is Ralph Anderson's wife, Jeannie, and Mary, which was the wife of Terry, the one they accused of murdering the child, and also the one that was murdered himself. So now they are just, in this weird place where they don't really know if they should believe the supernatural, if they shouldn't believe it, and nobody knows what to do. And of course, Holly is like, okay, now we have to go to Texas because this entity has the face of someone else from Flint City, and that said person, I think he's called Cloud. I think he's Cloud, and he's in Texas right now taking care of his mom. So the creature must be there because he is planning to murder another child and putting the blame onto Cloud. That is what's going to happen. So we have to be in Texas, and that's what they're about to do. So like I said, much hasn't happened, but the reason why I wanted to update you, it's because I understand, logically that people are not going to believe the supernatural because not even I would. I wouldn't believe that El Cuco because I think this creature is inspired by a Mexican folklore type of creature, and they mentioned El Cuco, and I understand. But there's always this part of me, and there has always been this part of me where I will believe in the supernatural, okay? I will believe in the supernatural just because what if? What if it actually exists and we just don't understand it? We don't have the capacity to comprehend it. What if, it exists? There always has to be that sort of chance and open-mindedness that you need to have, in my opinion. So if this case was presented to me, I would also believe, because what do you mean? We have two cases where two people have been in one place at the same time, where clearly that is impossible, that just cannot happen. And we have so many strange coincidences, witnesses, everything is just done in such a weird way. Because this creature, of course, isn't afraid of being caught because nobody believes in him. And he wants to create chaos as well because that's what we learned. At least that is what Holly speculates. That this creature does feed on the sadness, on the terror, on the anger of people. And that's why they like committing these crimes, letting everyone seeing them. So then the other, the real person, the actual person is going to be caught and their lives are going to be ruined. And it's just more sadness that he can eat from and draw from. So, of course he's not worried about being caught, right? And that's the thing. If that happened, then I would question myself, how is this even possible? This is not possible. So if this isn't possible, it has to be the supernatural. It has to be some sort of weird creature. So yes, I am going to believe this strange lady, Holly Gibson, I think that's her name. At least that's her last name, but I'm going to believe this cute lady that is named Holly when it comes to this fact, because everything that has happened until now is strange. It's strange, it's weird, it's impossible. So if it's impossible, then the only explanation is the impossible, which means the creature. Okay, I would believe, and that's what I'm saying. It's just, I think it's so crazy that some people really reject the supernatural because what if? What if people... This is one of the situations. What if? And what is terrifying me a little bit about this case is, right now, this can happen to anyone, okay? This creature can walk about, around, and you wouldn't know any better. You just wouldn't know any better. And I don't see a way of defeating him. Whenever I watch horror movies or read horror books, I always like seeing the characters defeat the type of creature. And the reason why is because then if it happens in real life, I can mimic it. I don't know if this makes sense, okay? I know I'm a little bit crazy, but then it's like it has a solution. I don't see a solution for this case. Does this thing even die? Can you even kill this thing? Because whenever it transforms, it leaves this gooey black, squishy thing behind. Can it even be shot? Can it be, I don't know, I don't know, and it's stressing me out. Like, it's actually stressing me out because what if this happens to me? Like, what if, whenever, like I said, whenever I watch horror movies, for example, Annabelle, it doesn't really scare me because you need the doll in order to be haunted. But if it's a ghost story or a haunted house, no. No. I mean, the haunted house, you can escape from it, but sometimes the ghost will not let you. But if it's a ghost haunting you, what the hell am I supposed to do? Like, what am I supposed to do? How do I win against a ghost? So that's why I like specific things that I need to have in order to be cursed. So it's kind of like, okay, as long as I don't have that, nothing is going to happen to me. Or there is a solution to the problem. I don't know. Like, this book is stressing me out, but in such a good way because, like I said, I'm having so much fun. I'm always so intrigued, and I love whenever I pick this up because I just cannot stop. I swear to God, I cannot stop whenever I'm reading this. The only reason why I stop is because I actually have to do tasks, and I do have a life. And we have finally reached the end of this reading vlog because I did finish The Outsider by Stephen King, and oh my God, that ending was crazy. It was just so creepy. And the first thing that I do want to say about this book is I rebuke this in the name of Jesus Christ.
I rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
That's right.
Whoa.
Go away, darkness.
Okay, I rebuke this creature. I do not want this near me, not even in my town. Like, I rebuke this with all the power that I have of Jesus Christ, of God, of, just any God. Greek, Roman, Celtic, whatever. I rebuke this creature because it's just so creepy. Like, everything about this was so creepy. And the ending, oh my God, like, it just sent shivers down my spine, especially because in this ending scene, I'm not gonna, spoil anything, but the ending is set in this cavern. And it's a very big cavern, but of course you do have lots of passages, and some of the passages are so narrow that only one of them could go in. It just makes everything creepier, okay? It just makes everything extra scary because everyone is afraid of caverns. I don't care what you say. Everyone has this fear. Everyone is claustrophobic, or should be claustrophobic at least. I know we do have some, cave divers or cave explorers. And honestly, I do believe that they are not human. Like, they cannot be human. Those people have to have some sort of mutation in their genes to go inside tiny holes, because who would do that? Who would do that as a hobby? Nobody. I think they are just as scary as this freaking creature, honestly. So it just made everything seem even more, like I said, scary, even more thrilling. I was always on the edge of my seat because I didn't know what was going to happen. I knew they were going to find this creature, and of course they did, but how would they escape, through these narrow passages? Would there be, a chasing scene? Would they have to run away? Would they get lost in these caverns? Just like a few kids back in the day got lost in these caverns and they never came back out and they died there all alone. It was just, extra scary. And I did really like the ending. Although I don't want to say I was disappointed. I was expecting the creature to kind of come back. I don't know why I thought that. I thought that the creature wasn't, going to be destroyed completely. And I thought the ending would be an open one where Stephen King would leave a little bit for the imagination and just leave us with, wait, but did the creature die? Was it killed? Is it gone entirely? But no, I think it ends in a very good way. I do like the ending. And like I said previously, and I'm going to repeat myself, I'm sorry, but I really, really enjoyed this book. This is definitely a solid 4 stars for me because even though the book is quite long and sometimes the pacing does feel a little bit long, it was never boring. It was never boring because the investigation kept moving forward. Our characters kept finding new things, or new things would be brought out to them and more questions would arise. So there was always something that we had to know. There was always something new to explore, to find out. So the pacing is slow, but it didn't feel boring, if you know what I'm saying. And the pacing, in my opinion, had to be slow because we have so much character development in this book, and that only could have happened if the book was this long. And my favorite part of this book were actually the characters. I just really think that Stephen King has this talent to create such genuine people. Like, these could be people that were my neighbors. These could be people that I would talk to on a daily basis and that I could talk to. He knows just how to write dialogue so well. I think he's one of those authors that just really knows how to encapsulate what it is to be human and how people talk. It's not in a polished way. A lot of these characters go off on tangents. A lot of the witnesses even went on tangents because that's what people do. We usually say, for example, oh, do you know that supermarket? Yeah, the supermarket that is next to this person's house or that person's house, and they have this life, that life. It is a tangent and it has nothing to do with the mystery, but this is how real people talk. We just go off on tangents for some reason, and I just loved the dialogue. I loved these characters. Like I said, they could be my neighbors, and I absolutely loved Holly, and now I know this is Holly Gibson, and I have to read all of the other books that have Holly in it because she's so awkward, and I love it. I love how awkward she is and how, I don't want to say quirky. She is a little bit quirky, but not, one of the most quirkiest characters that I've read. She's awkward. I love that about her. I love how competent she is as well, because she knows what she's talking about. She knows what she's dealing with. Not always, because of course she has never encountered this type of creature before. She just has this confidence to her, and I think it comes from the fact that she has dealt with supernatural things in the past. So of course she knows and she believes easier on what is happening, and that this is not a doppelganger, this is some sort of weird supernatural creature. And because she has encountered these things in the past, like I said, it gives her the confidence to understand what to do moving forward, and it gives the other characters also the confidence to move forward and to continue on this journey. Because of course, if someone told you, oh yeah, like this is some sort of like supernatural creature that can transform into people, you would be like, no, like that is stupid. Why would that exist, you know? But like she said, the universe knows no bounds, knows no limits, and I just loved her, okay? I really, really loved her. She could be someone that I would love to talk to. I would love to talk to her, and because, like I said, she just has so much knowledge about so many things, and she is so smart. She's not book smart, although she, you know, reads a lot, and she does know a lot of things because of reading and watching movies and shows and documentaries, but she's very street smart. She just has these intuitions and deductions. She's very good at making those, which makes her a very good detective, and like I said, I just love her, okay? I really, really love her. But would I recommend this book? Of course, I would highly recommend this book if you want something thrilling for the spooky season for the month of October. And now, from now on, I think I'm reading Stephen King every single October, because it just has to be. It has to be, because I absolutely love this book. I just think this book was so good. It was such a thrill. Literally, this is a thriller, and it is a good thriller, because even though you didn't have that much action, like I said, you were always on the edge of your seat, because you discovered so many new things, so many things that didn't really make sense. And the themes in this book, I absolutely love the themes. I think the main theme here, in my opinion at least, is, you know, the criticism that Stephen King makes about social media and about the media in general, journalisms, and how vultures they are, because so many of these things happened because of us, because of humans, because of how journalists act around, you know, some sort of situation. They just don't really wait until they have all of the evidence. They don't wait until they make speculations, and they make horrible, you know, theories about all of these people, and they don't wait until they have all of the evidence, until all of the facts have been proven, because they just want, you know, the news. They want to make all the money. They want to be the ones to discover and to relate all of the news about this crime. They want to be, you know, the ones that have the most audience watching, and that's why they don't mind being vultures, standing outside the house of these families that have gone through something so tragic, not, you know, just not feeling guilty at all about asking all these questions, making all of these assumptions, and making up all of these theories that are going to affect their reputation. Because even now, when the police actually figure out, you know, okay, this was not Terry Maitland, and the police does, you know, hold a conference saying this was not Terry Maitland, this was someone very, you know, similar to him, someone that looked exactly like him. We are still investigating. We are going to open this case. Terry Maitland is innocent, even though they have said this, his reputation will never be the same. He is, you know, deceased. He is dead. But, you know, his wife's reputation, the kids' reputation will never be the same. They will always have to hear whispers behind their back. They don't even know if they can stay in this town because of the other people. It was, of course, because of the police, because they did arrest Terry, you know, in public eye, in front of 1,000 people. But it was also because of the journalists and the media always perpetuating and creating all of these theories and all of these facts that became fake news. And everybody believes it, and now it's just too late. It's just too late to get that reputation back, which is really, really sad. And I just love that theme. I love that Stephen King explored that and the effects that the media has on everyone, not just the victim, on their families, people that they know, even on the policemen, the police officers, just everybody in this book. And I would highly, highly recommend this book if you want to read something thrilling and kind of spooky for Halloween. And that is it for this video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this reading vlog. I do love filming these reading vlogs. I just think it's so fun to give all of the updates and really just see, you know, how and what I think in each section, you know, that I update you guys in each section of the book. It's just really, really fun. I love filming these, and then I can look back on and just think, oh my god, like I really love this book. And it's just so much fun to look back on, because I don't remember, you know, half of the things. I have a very short-term memory, so I really easily forget things and details. That's why I love filming these reading vlogs, is because then I can actually go back and remember all of the things and all the details that I have forgotten. But I do hope you enjoyed this reading vlog, and I will be coming with more reading vlogs in the future, of course, so stay tuned. And please like and subscribe, because it does help my channel out a lot, and it gives me motivation and validation to continue filming these videos for you guys. And I will see you on my next video. Bye!